Hey, I mean, at least Hendrick drivers finished 1, 2, 3 last night. That's a pretty good feat. Keselowski, Johnson, Elliott. One of them might have gotten disqualified, but I think Rick's going to be pretty happy with that with 1, 2, 3 finish. So, looking good for 2021. Listen, I'll be the first one to say when a race is great. I did that the last two times I talked about the Darlington races. They were both great races. The one with the Elliott Kyle Busch incident and the first race back from the pandemic. Both great races. Darlington's a great track, always been a great track. And you still had to have the drivers drive the race cars. And then we come to a track like Charlotte, which I honestly was expecting a pretty decent race. Because I remember a few years ago, I really liked the Coke 600 and the All-Star race, but then I remembered that was not with this package. That was with the even lower horsepower package that turned into a straight-up plate race. And yet that was more entertaining than what we got last night. When a race is crap, I'm going to say it's crap. When a race is good, I'm going to say it's good. Luckily, I'm not too angry because we know what's coming around the corner. My baby is around the corner about a year and a half from now. 2022, from everything I've heard from the drivers talking about how mechanical grip is coming back to the race cars, I'm happy. I don't care how much horsepower is in that car. As long as the drivers have to drive that race car, I'm happy. So, guys, no matter how bad a race is now, 2022, we have hope. I promise. So let's talk about the race and why it was just crap. Number one, couldn't pass. And this was actually surprising to me because I don't remember much from last year's Coke 600, but this is pretty much the same package. And what was surprising was it was a one-groove racetrack for most of the race. And listen, guys, you could have your own opinion of what is a good race. If you want to see single-file racing, but your driver dominates the whole race, that could be a good race to you. I remember many races where Jeff Gordon led a lot of the race, and I thought it was a great race. Only reason I thought it was a great race because Jeff Gordon led the entire race. I didn't have the awareness to think of the overall picture, and I was like, oh, my favorite driver is winning. And that's okay, by the way. I just want to reiterate, I would say most NASCAR fans watch NASCAR to root for their favorite driver. 30% would watch for the racing, neutral, not watching for a specific driver. But there are a lot of people, when you watch and you're driving, like let's say you're a Denny Hamlin fan last night, and Denny Hamlin doesn't even get going. Your interest in the race drops. You might think it's more boring. You have a more negative perspective of the race. I'm a Hendrick guy. My Hendrick guys were great last night. Chase Elliott's my favorite driver. Jimmy Johnson close second. Both great last night. I still think the race was crap. Doesn't affect me. When I think a race is crap, a race is crap. A lot of people were talking about the amount of lead changes. There was only 2 lead changes. That's not why the race was crap. You have to look at it from a overall perspective. You could have 60 lead changes. And honestly, if you had 60 lead changes, actually, it'd probably be a pretty good race. Just assuming that you could pass the leader 60 times. I'm pretty sure there'd be more passing in the back of the pack, too. But the front of the pack kind of dictates what's going on in the back of the pack most of the time. There's rare instances where there can be a ton of passing in the middle and back of the pack, but there's not a lot of passing towards the front. This race, there was no passing anywhere. Couldn't pass in the front, couldn't pass in the middle, couldn't pass to the back. You had drivers stay out on old tires, couldn't get past for 30 laps. Tires didn't matter. Guys, that doesn't. You can't have a good race where as long as you're the leader, you have an advantage so exponentially above the rest of the field. And then once you drop into second place, you drop like a rock. That is terrible racing. If you think that's good racing, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, you could be part of that camp that says, oh, at least we have NASCAR back. Yes, you have NASCAR back. Be grateful. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, NASCAR's back. Guess what? The race is still crap. I could go get a pizza right now. I could leave my house and get a pizza. I could finally get pizza again. But if the pizza's undercooked and it's cold and it makes me sick, the pizza was crap. Just because it's back doesn't mean it's a good product. That race last night was a terrible product. Can the race on Wednesday be a good product? Yes. And it's also because the race on Wednesday is, I think, a 300-mile race. I think it's basically half the length of the Coke 600. And I'm very interested in that because I've had a theory of shortening these races except for the Coke guys. I'm not saying shorten the Coke 600. Coke 600, Southern 500, Daytona 500, Monument races, don't even touch them. But a 300-mile race is very intriguing to me. I want to see, same track a few days later, does a shorter race change the perspective of me and other people about our opinions of was it a good race or not? Because when you see a race like that we had last night, and it takes all night, like 4.5, 5 hours to complete, it leads more of a rotten taste in your mouth because what you're seeing just lasts longer. If what you saw was 2.5 hours, right? Yeah, maybe the race wasn't great, but what we saw was for 5 hours, and it's just like, okay, this is getting frustrating to watch at a certain point. So I'm excited to see what happens Wednesday. But the Coke 600, I mean, listen, you just got to be able to. This is my problem. When you don't give the drivers the ability to showcase their talent, there's no point in racing. On throttle time is ridiculous. You get tight behind other cars, aero push, aero loose. And that's when you have to lift. Because the horsepower, when you lift, you lose all your momentum. Everyone spreads out to these even spaces. There are so many times last night. First, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, they're all spread out by the same amount. There's no difference in time. So NASCAR got what they wanted. They closed it up. But nothing changes. Nothing changes, guys. At this point, there's no point of talking about the package. Like, it's going to stay. And I know 2022 is going to be better. So there's literally no point in attacking NASCAR or criticizing them. It's just about how can you make this, until 2022, how can you make these tracks worth my time to watch? Because that's not worth my time to watch. Hence why I didn't watch Vegas and I didn't watch Auto Club earlier this year. I didn't really care about watching those races. But because of the time off, I decided to come back and watch Coke 600. And that race gives me no reason why I should continue watching mile-and-a-half tracks. There's just no reason. I'll come watch the short tracks. I'll come watch the plate races. But why would I want to watch a paved mile-and-a-half with this package? There's literally no reason until 2022. And I think the biggest thing that frustrates me is that when I watch NASCAR, I love to see drivers showcase their abilities. And when a race is determined by who gets a push at the initial restart at a mile-and-a-half track, like that's okay. If Daytona and Talladega, restarts are a big deal. That's a big track, right? Let's put this into perspective. A green-white checkered at the Coke 600 comes down to who gets a push from third and fourth place, the front row two cars, who gets a push from third and fourth place. You're not even up to speed for the first initial lap, so you're finally up to speed on the last lap, and then you race, where it is full throttle all the way around, and you can't do anything because track position is king. Guys, that's not racing. Full throttle works in IndyCar because IndyCar has massive draft effects. If you want to go full throttle, you need to have a big draft. Like you have to have a big wake of air, a big hole punching in the air, so the car behind can get a run. This isn't racing. Literally, the race was decided on the first 10 seconds of a restart, and then after that, it didn't matter. And what was even sadder was watching everyone behind the two leaders absolutely lose control of their cars because they have no control because of the air. That's not, what are we watching at that point? That's not fun racing. It's crap. And I feel bad because, wheel spin, getting in a 3 and 4 on old tires, like none of that even matters. They could just go into the corner full throttle and like the only thing you can do is side draft. It's just, I can't wrap my head around how we can enjoy that kind of racing. I can't. Maybe that's what you guys like. Maybe like you're just seeing cars being close together and not how that's happening. I'm seeing how it's happening, and I'm just seeing like, whoa, yeah. Like at Darlington, you can't do that. Darlington is a really tough racetrack where throttle control means a lot, even with this package now. 3 and 4 is a very tight radius corner where you have to pick a lane. You gotta set up the entry and the exit right, and that is mile-and-a-half racing. You can't be full throttle then partial throttle and think that's going to cause good racing. It just isn't, unless you go to the 400 horsepower, turn everyone full throttle and turn it into a pack race. Then it becomes a pack race, but it's entertaining. So it's like you're in an in-between here with this package, which I think will be fixed with the Gen 7. Gen 7 will get mechanical grip back in the car, while we won't put the horsepower back in it, but mechanical grip will be back in the car and the drivers will be able to race. But for right now, tracks like Charlotte, Pocono, Michigan, what are we going to do with these tracks? Indianapolis, give me a reason why I should come watch when I know they're going to a certain racetrack that's not going to be good for this package. What's the point? Are we just going to wait till 2022? Is that what we have to do? Just kind of bide our time and hope for a good finish? Last night we should have had a good finish. Even if Elliott won with 3 laps to go, it was a boring race. It would have been a good race. Even if Chase Elliott wins, all NASCAR's most popular driver, fans are happy. It's a crap race. It was terrible. Caution comes out, and I'm like, all right, you know what? Green, white, checkered. Let's get entertaining. And then it gets decided within the first 5 seconds to restart. It's just like it reminds me like we're not racing here. It's just get out in front and run in front of the other driver's line, and you'll be good for the first 2 laps. Like nothing else matters. Fresh tires don't matter. Now let's talk. Oh boy, Alan Gustafson. Gee, oh my God. Okay, so I actually understand why Alan Gustafson made this decision, because I think it was Gustafson, and Rodney Childress with Harvick. They stayed out. If you guys remember in stage 3, they stayed out with old tires right before the end of stage 4. And they both got eaten alive. Like they were just went right back to the end of the lead lap cars, and it was a terrible decision. They stayed out with, I think, 20 laps on their tires, and that's what happened to them. So I understand Gustafson thinking about that an hour before, saying, okay, I'm the leader with 2 laps to go, and last time I left my driver out with 20 lap old tires. This time it's going to be 60, but 20 lap old tires. He got eaten alive in 1 and 2. What Gustafson didn't think about was Elliott was restarting 3rd on that restart and just made a slight mistake in 1 and 2 and lost control of the car. Elliott would have been restarting 1st on the final restart with a push from behind, where all you have to do is go full throttle through 1 and 2 and hope you clear the other guy, which is very likely when you restart on the bottom lane. I would say 70% chance you clear the other guy exiting turn 2. And then from that point on, you have clean air, which is the most important thing alive, because we saw all race that if you get clean air entering 3, you can keep the lead for a few laps, which, again, there's 2 laps to go, and the white flag lap is the only lap that is up to speed. Before that, you're not even up to speed. You're full throttle around the track, which makes his decision absolutely just ridiculous to understand. It doesn't make sense in any way. Chase Elliott actually said we thought we should stay out, but Gustafson thought they wanted to come in. And you make the argument, well, damned if you do, damned if you don't. No, that's not this argument. I promise you, if Chase Elliott stays out, everyone wouldn't have pitted, because everyone knows how important track position is. When Elliott pits, you saw the amount of guys that stayed out. It was somewhere around 8. Somewhere around 8 guys stayed out. Even if Elliott stayed out, all you need is 2 to 3 drivers. You just need a car next to you and the row behind you. You don't even need 4th place. Just 3rd place behind you being on old tires, and you're good to go. And that was going to happen. So Alan Gustafson's decision to pit Chase Elliott is one of the most ridiculous decisions, especially knowing that I think 2 of the races earlier this year, Logano, Hamlin, they won by staying out with old tires for just that little bit of time. And Hamlin was a different case because of Darlington and Elliott getting wrecked. But Logano did it on old tires. And you just have to know, especially when you watch the entire race being on top of the pit box, you gotta know how important the clean air is. Just let your driver defend the lead. You know other guys are going to stay out. Just give them a chance. Even though an hour ago, restarting 3rd, you guys are terrible on old tires. So Gustafson lost that race for the 9 team. Keselowski did a great job on that restart with the push from Alex Bowman, who, another thing that I can't believe is race fans complaining about Alex Bowman pushing Brad Keselowski. Guys, Alex Bowman has to win for himself. He can't just back off and let Jimmy Johnson win the... I saw a lot of people complaining about that too. Guys, everyone races for themselves. You can't have 3rd place just not push 1st place so that way Jimmy could win the race. No, Alex Bowman's trying to win for himself. Everyone's trying to win for himself. I saw so many tweets about cussing out Alex Bowman, and I'm just like, what kind of fan are you? I don't understand. In the end, the one positive I could take away from it is the Hendrick boys are fast. You guys know me. I love Hendrick. So it's nice seeing Chevy and Hendrick back being competitive. They're not like, I know they're not dominant, but they're competitive. They haven't been able to win the races yet. But they've been competitive, very competitive, running all 4 cars in the top 10 most of the time. And that's really good. So it's nice to see that. It eases my pain of watching a boring race like that. But it also enhances when a race is great, like Darlington. And I see, personally, guys like Jimmy and Chase and Bowman and William are running well. For me as a fan, it makes me pretty happy because I have a interest in how those guys do. Where before, if we had a great race, right? This is just my personal interest. If we had a great race, but it was Harvick, Busch, and Truex, which was the 3 most dominant guys for the last few years now, you kind of see the same thing over and over. I don't have interest in those guys, and for me, it just made me lack a little bit of interest. But the race was still great. Now it makes it even better because even the guys competing up towards the front are really, really like my kind of guys. So that's cool. I'd like to see Ryan Blaney up there a little bit more, and maybe Bubba Wallace if he was in a good ride. But that's the one positive I could take out from this season so far, is that it's nice to see Hendrick guys being good again. Meanwhile, Harvick and Kyle Busch is still lacking some speed, but Harvick and Truex and those guys are still fast. So what I'm trying to say is it's nice to see the fast guys still be fast, and Harvick, Truex, and Kyle Busch needs a little bit more help. But it's nice to also see Jimmy Johnson in his final season actually running well, which is, thank God. I mean, he's not able to get the finishes because he was DQ'd last night for failing post-race tech. But it is nice to see Jimmy running well. And I think we could all expect Jimmy's going to win a race sometime this year. It's just a matter of when. The team has too much speed, and he's eventually going to get it right. So, for example, last night, if he was just one spot ahead, if he was just ahead of Keselowski, he would have won the race. So it's that simple. Just put yourself in the right position, and they'll eventually get to victory lane, and that will be a nice sight to see, because it's been a long time since Jimmy Johnson's been at victory lane. I think everyone wants to see it, even if you hated Jimmy Johnson back when he was dominating, which a lot of people did, but now everyone loves him because he went through that little slump. It's going to be nice to see him back in victory lane, and he will be sometime before the end of the season. Guys, comment down below. I think I gave all my opinions and thoughts on the race, which is what you guys wanted to hear, and I don't sugarcoat anything. Guys, the race was crap. 3 out of 10, 4 out of 10. I mean, I don't know how to rate it. It's just bad. I wouldn't even say a bad racetrack. Just weird conditions. Single lane drag. The compound didn't come in for some reason. Nearly full throttle, but not completely full throttle racing. A lot of dirty air. Clean air was massively king. And when that happens, you just can't really get a good race going, because no one could. The drivers just can't put on a show. And if the drivers can't put on a show, then what's the point? Hopefully we'll get a better race at Charlotte in 2 days' time, and I'm expecting to have a better race because of the shorter race distance. And I just think a shorter race distance is going to be a little bit more intense at the beginning and the middle of the race, and we'll see what happens. And hopefully, I don't know, hopefully just things will be a little bit different, and the groove will widen out a little bit, and maybe we could race a little bit more, or maybe we'll just get the same of the Coke 600, just in half the time, which is okay. What do you guys think about the future Hendrick driver winning the race and Brad Keselowski? I'm going to keep making that joke until it's official. I don't think, it's not confirmed, but I just personally believe Keselowski will be going to Hendrick and replacing Jimmy in the 48. I think it's a no-brainer now that Larson's not really in the picture because of his issues, and Chevy will just not take him anymore. That was my initial pick for Hendrick to go with, but now that that's gone, I think it's a very clear choice that Brad Keselowski should probably take over the 48 ride. I can't really think of anyone else, to be honest, that I would think, because Keselowski has recent ties with Hendrick in the beginning of his career. So that's going to be nice to see. It's nice for Keselowski to get a win, and we'll move on. And actually, the next couple of races after Wednesday, there's a good slate of tracks. We have Homestead, we have Martinsville, we have Bristol, and we have Talladega, all within the next few races. And I'm expecting literally every single one of those races to be great. Homestead, Bristol, Martinsville obviously will be great with the high horsepower, low downforce package, and Talladega is always great. So a couple of really, really, really great racetracks coming up. Maybe one more bad race in Charlotte, but then we're going to get a lot of good races. So hopefully that is the case. Comment down below what you think of the race. The winner, Chase Elliott, not being able to win again, which actually I find it to be pretty funny at this point. And everything else that I talked about. And yeah. 2022 is coming around soon, so not going to be really complaining about the cars anymore after that, because we're going to have a great race car back in 2022. I'll see you guys later. Hope you're having a great day. Stay safe in the quarantine. Enjoy yourselves, and hopefully this pandemic is all over soon so we can go back to our normal lives. I'll see you guys later. Peace out.